Game 3 gearing up here for the playoffs as Tricked Esport and Team Expert are currently tied 1-1. And it's been a good one so far. Game number 1 was brilliantly done by Expert, but game number 2 controlled very well by Tricked.
Yeah, Tricked with a very solid performance in game number 2. Now, of course, this has been reduced more or less into a best-of-3 series. And I'm hyped for the third one.
Cotton, you have a replay to break down for us, apparently. Let's go and look at these team fights.
Let's do it. So in this fight, we're going to see a lot of big ultimates used early. The Gust, the Fear, they're all trying to secure the Dragon Knight here. However, you'll see the Falstad, he gets into a world of trouble here as he tries to make a cap. A key Cocoon comes in here, and at this point, he's in a very dangerous position. There's no Gust, no Fear. And as soon as he comes out of this, Expert is looking to just instantly kill the Falstad and turn this fight. However, Ganappa, not even going to wait for the Falstad to get low or him committed on, just instantly saves him. They're able to turn the fight there despite having no Gust or Fear up. That Falstad just lived his life wrapped in safety.
It's one of those moments where Ariel just finds that key moment that's going to blow somebody up and saves it. Like, I think that's what you were highlighting there. You don't have to wait for your Falstad to be less than 300 points in health. Make sure you just stop the big power movement from occurring, and you've won that team fight.
Yeah, the fact that he was still high on life.
and health, and health.
After being engaged on by just about everything out of the Cocoon was big because it allowed them to make that key turn and get the kills there. If the Falstad was at like 20% life and had to back out, they probably would have missed some kills. That was a key, like a great Aegis, and it allowed them to turn the game from there.
It also immediately put Anubarak in a very awkward spot because before that happened, Anubarak was the one sitting in the bush, waiting for the signal, okay guys, let's go in. And then all of a sudden, he's the one that's completely isolated, and he's like, help, team?
They thought that was going to be the moment where they turned the fight, and the Aegis completely turned everything around. Denied.
All right, guys, game number 3. Let's figure out which battleground we're going to here, as we're all tied up, and somebody has to etch out a lead. It's going to be BOE, and this seems to be Trick's favorite battleground as of late.
Yeah, soon we're going to see some BOE bans coming in against Tricked Esports, I feel. They have picked that map early whenever they could in all the series, and they seem to really love these, especially power plays with 5 heroes on a lane, just shaking up the normal traditional laning that we see on the map. That helps them a lot to put pressure onto opponents that just don't know exactly how do we handle this the best way.
And Kaufman, I want to ask you about Sonya. She's obviously in these last couple of rounds been absolutely devastating. When you're in a tournament scenario where you're in playoffs and such, and you start to see a hero start to bubble up pretty heavily, what do you do to start dealing with it if you can't find an answer right away?
Well, I think we're going to see what happens here for the rest of the series. I'm not sure if EU in general was expecting Sonya to be a common 1-2, but with the way that today's games have been going, I mean, I'm sure that all the teams are adjusting their drafts right now that are waiting to play these teams in the future. And we've yet to see Sonya lose, so we might see some insanely high priority start on that until she drops the game.
Sonya has definitely been played in Europe quite a bit, but I would say that a team like Trick plays her more than others. So I feel one of the things that Expert could do if they don't want to consider a ban is just try and get a few more stuns in. Something that breaks her really out of that whirlwind. We saw so many times when there was about to be a kill, and then all of a sudden she just heals up once again, turns the team fight around with this, and always that aggression and the willingness to re-engage and to turn it around. That's something that helped Trick in so many of their games.
Well, speaking of, there is Sonya with the Oriole pickup from Trick.
The priority is crazy at this point.
Yeah, this is something that last week was 4th to 5th pick, and we saw Sonya a lot. But now it's come to a point where it's like, we have certain strategies that have to work with Sonya being in the top lane. We want a Thermal on that hero. And Tricked Esport is going to move down that route, and here's a Chromester.
To be fair, I think it also comes down to what Cawthon just said. If you look at if you look how strong Sonya was, it's not really something you would ban out first, but I think you would consider it to ban it second. And once that Trick realizes that as well, that there's the threat to it, they have to pick her early, because the next ban phase comes in, and if you don't want to lose the option, I feel it's much easier for them to replace the main tank and switch it out there than to have someone else that fills Sonya role in the setup.
Yeah, I think this draft is Expert's experimental anti-Sonya draft. They had to know that Sonya was going to be picked up on the 1-2 here after they picked the Mouth, So I'm sure they went into this draft with a very specific plan for dealing with Sonya. If their plan here still doesn't work, then look for them to either take it away or ban it in the future games.
Uther and Genji will not be playable here, as Genji has been banned out. Uther being taken away for Team Expert, again, with a double support life. Also, so far, Sonya has been unkillable. If you make her actually unkillable with a Divine Shield, that's actually a major threat. So the ban works out really well here. Tricked Esport, on their side, last time they were here, they picked up Arthas in this rotation.
Yeah, Arthas is again a pick that we could see for them. Battlefield of Eternity is a map where they also like to play the Arthas, but we have also, of course, a Johanna still available, which we've also seen. So Alex can play all these heroes to create space for his team. Tyrael in this case. That makes me wonder a bit what else we're going to see from them. And we have the Vala. So there's a lot of potential already to raise the Immortal. Arrow build on Vala, plus in addition the Sonya that we've seen on the first map try to constantly put the pressure onto the Immortal.
Well, let's rewind a little bit here. I'm going to come to Kaufman over here with Chromie. Chromie being picked up on BOE. Typically a battleground that I don't think I would see her here, but what strengths can she pull off on this battleground that could be effective?
I think Chromie is extremely strong against Ariel, especially if it's Ariel solo support. The poke that she puts out, if you can protect her and not take much damage doing it, is very difficult for Ariel to deal with. And so in these long, drawn-out fights that tend to happen on this map, if the Chromie's able to whittle people down, you can take complete control of the game if the Ariel is unable to get energy early.
Do you think you're going to see a second support? Because I could definitely see that for Tricked.
For Tricked, it would make sense to counteract that Chromie burst. It's a matter of which way they want to go. They need to either get a second support with sustain, or they need to get a very strong dive hero to go in hard and pressure the Chromie before she's able to get much poke.
So first of all, we're having for Expert Acacia and Leoric. So very frontline heavy. Also great, of course, to create space for Chromie, protect her, make sure nobody can get close to her without being punished. And this is starting to become a really interesting draft here. So the question still remains, double support for Tricked, or do they play something else here?
There it is. That makes sense there, because Expert drafted their comp in such a way to punish the dive that they were afraid of going onto the Chromie. And so the only option really left to them was that double support to make sure they have the sustain through the Chromie damage.
Rager also brings in that cleanse, so can help out if it was going to be a temporal loop. So Tricked Esport now in a solid spot to help out with that clear. But I'm actually very interested in Expert's draft, as I typically say when we watch their drafts. Having Leoric here and a Cassia. Cassia's great. You were talking about punishment. If there ever is a dive, as you were mentioning, Cassia brings out that damage to burn down that Tyrael and that Sonya, while Chromie, from the safety of the faraway lands, pokes down any opponent that she can. And I'm ready to watch it unfold here, because again, the reason why you don't see Chromie most of the time on this battleground, kind of hard to kill off that Immortal, where that's definitely going to be the task here for a Tricked Esport, to try and win the Immortal phase and prevent their opponents from being effective.
Yeah, the thing here is that Expert has absolutely no way to win a race.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no chance.
Not even Bronze Talons.
Nope. We have Vala with the arrow build. We're seeing on top of that the Sonya, and also Lightning Bond on Rhaegar. So even with a double support, there is no way that we are going to see Expert win a race.
Can they win the fights, though?
They can definitely win the fights. The thing that's going to be scary is any time that Expert gets into a lead on the Immortal race, though, they can play it super safe, and they can just use the Chromie to punish any overextensions, poke safely at the Immortal. All they have to do is to get a slight advantage on the Immortal race, and then they can take control of the map from there.
All right, Game 3, BOE. Can we have the actual battleground controlled by Tricked Esport, or will we see Expert walk away with team fights? Let's find out.
Game number 3 in the series. We have a tie as Battlefield of Eternity is going to be our next map. Bad Benny to the left side for Team Expert playing in Uberak. We have Blade on Leoric, ADRD of course on Chromie with Nick on that front line playing Cassia, and Curson on Malfurion.
To the right in the red, Tricked Esport, Nape on the Oriole. Going to be having Tyrael played by Alex Saprogi. Rhaegar will be played by Rimmer. Eternal will be on the Sonya, and Crosby will play Vala.
Crosby on Vala with the arrow build. It's one of the strongest builds if you play Vala on this map, it has for a long time it was the only map where Vala was played with an arrow build. By now the build has been considered as so strong that you can use it on a lot of different maps here, and you will always get good value out of it. Power spike for the build occurs, of course, on level 7, and once that you have completed the level 4 quest talent. But just overall, a great tool to get value in the team fight, and at the same time, extra value in the Immortal race.
Pretty solid on the Immortal race. Can be good on Cursed Hollow too for those boss rushes if you want to go for that strategy. I would not recommend it on Tomb of the Spider Queen if you have double support. You're not going to get much damage in. It's going to be really hard to finish, but still a build that you should think about if you're ever wanting to erase objectives. Now, over at Team Expert, we got Chromie with Time Worker's Pursuit here, Charge Strike there on Cassia.
Look at the minimap, how they're just all rotating around. Expert was expecting the bot lane to be the 4-man stack lane. And when you look at the two 4-mans, Tricked with a double support and the heroes they have has way more pressure on the structures.
Yeah.
So they were just setting up their 4-man at the top, turned bot lane into a solo lane, and Expert was the team that needed to react because they're slower in pushing with a 4-man, so Tricked would be ahead. So that's why we all of a sudden saw everyone just like rushing around on the map, Expert trying to adapt. But that little maneuver gave Tricked already a lead in the damage towards the wall. Nothing game deciding by any means, but it's a nice small lead that they got, and it leads to an early tower kill.
Which gives them, if you look at the experience, half a level. Now, of course, Expert can grab some of their own experience and go from there. Hang on, time trap set up here on Sonya. She does get locked down, but Eternal will chase down Bad Benny.
Yeah, so Bad Benny gets healed by Kirsten, but this is now one of these moments that we've been talking about earlier. That pressure against the Immortal is much stronger for Tricked, so Expert has to play around it. It's why they set up a defense here. Both of the teams in a bit of a defensive position, but ADRD on the top lane, taken out. Goodbye, Chromie.
Eternal and Rhaegar, great heroes, especially if you get the lockdown on a mage. Rhaegar by himself can actually solo a Chrome if he doesn't get hit by the W. Having Sonya there as well, instant kills. Bad Benny gets hit with a Attainment Strike in the middle, while Alex the Prodigy is sitting around the opposing Immortal and trying to get Nick to look at him.
And that pew pew sound is, by the way, one of the most rewarding things when you're playing Vala. It's so good. Little detail, yes, but it's just one of the things that makes it the best hero in the game.
That Cowboy Vala, man. Freaking awesome there. We're going to see the damage coming out.
Still the wrong mount, but I let that slide because the skin is awesome.
Yeah, let him have some variety, you know? You're such a nice guy, Caldor.
I know.
What a guy. What a pal. Poke continues down here on the bottom left, and Tricked is actually playing this very slow. They kind of have to. You need to keep an eye on Chromie here, and you don't want to ever have anyone get poked out, as mentioned by Kothon earlier. So Eternal here goes in.
Yeah, also a nice setup with Malfurion trying to get the root so that Chromie gets their shots in. But still, zoning is happening here. So far, so good for Tricked. Expert is looking to set something up. It's all about the poke, especially with Chromie. You have that long-range poke you try to utilize, but we have now Rhaegar at the bot lane together with Sonya, and that's a lot of pressure against the Immortal. Up to the top, again, Team Expert is moving in with Chromie poking away, but they're in a bit of an awkward spot here, as you can tell.
Yeah, then this weird choke. One, because time traps keep happening in the bushes area, so they don't have really an area to flank around and set up. They're forced into a choke where Bad Benny becomes very effective. He's dropped impales constantly, as well as burrow charges to hit multiple members. If that continues to happen, there's a point where Casca can go in with fin damage and really destroy that choke.
It's also a situation in which Vala is just very happy that she can stack her level 4 talent constantly, so that's great for her. Constant poke against the Immortal, trying to hit a few of these heroes. She's at 20 damage so far, 20 extra. Once level 7 is hit and the repeating arrow is being picked up as her level 7 talent, she can even speed up that process.
Expert working on being the first one to actually do the Immortal race here. As they continue to chunk on the right side, getting it lower and lower, working in that Dragon's Eye damage as well will force a halftime show.
Yeah, and now the question, of course, can they burst it down? Position is about to be taken. Sonya to the right. If Rhaegar can move in with the Lightning Shield, that would help out even more. Crossby moves in. They're trying to race it, and they have the potential to do so, especially with 3 members still defending.
Leoric rotates down to come finally help out, but it may be too late here as the Hungering Arrow build starts to chunk like crazy, especially with the aid of Sonya. And the victory will be going over to Tricked Esport. They get the first Immortal of the game.
And that was the most difficult for them to win. After this Immortal is over, Vala will first of all stack her level 4, and we will see the double arrow. So this was the easiest to win, so to say, for Expert overall when it comes to a straight up race. So right now, this is something where you are trying to get some value, a push with 4 members at the bot lane, and the Immortal, they want to at least get the wall, ideally, of course, even a kill.
Now it's all about the defense here. Bad Benny steps up front here to make sure he can help out with the help. Curson working in whenever he can. Bad Benny gets hit by Detainment Strike, but with Curson on the side with the heals, he is just fine.
Ether nearly got bodied by the Yachty. Chromie with that damage burst, making sure that the combo hits hard, and Sonya was so low for a second. Just barely getting out. They drop the wall, they get a slight lead in experience, and the level 7 talent is of course the most important one. But that was already very cool. And there's another thing that's also extremely cool, which I'm a huge fan of, is a slight adaptation on the side of Blade with his build, going right now into a Royal Focus as his level 4 talent. And that is all about the wave clear.
Wow, really making sure to keep that lane pushed up. And he did that actually last time. It seems like they've caught on to Trick's strategy of, okay, we get an Immortal and we push S5 in one of the lanes. If they have wave clear set up and they clear it out, it makes it much harder.
Leoric is already a hero known for wave clear. If you go into Royal Focus, you basically signal your opponent, hey, we want this guy to have even more wave clear than before, and this is his it's one of his main jobs. What you do is you always Wraith Walk to a minion wave, and then you get that one hit in, and you basically annihilate the entire wave super fast, and can then either Wraith Walk to the next, or you can just simply join up with the rest of your team. We see them even going on level 7 into the extra range, making sure that they use that on top of it too. So it's really telegraphed what they're attempting to do with Leoric. But of course, in this, it isolates him also a bit, and this is something that Trick is trying to capitalize on by catching him and then getting a kill in.
Yep, getting the kills up there on the top. Leoric will spawn soon. He focused on clearing the way before he did get killed off, which did make it harder for Eternal and Rimmer to actually put damage on the fort. However, that's still Leoric death. It's a little bit of experience here for Trick as they're getting closer to 10.
Yeah, the 10 is really important now for that next Immortal, because it's at the perfect moment in time for especially Trick. So they are going to try and raise this. 50 stacks on the side of Vala, 50 extra damage. So yeah, that just look at how fast they raised the Immortal now. Just look at this. At halftime, it's not even a contest.
I'm looking at it and I am in shock as they burn down the Immortal. A solid lead over their opponents.
They even missed out quite a bit because they had to move very far out of the way thanks to those circles in the positioning. So that was a bit awkward for them, but yeah, they are definitely having the potential here to make that happen.
Looking for 10 here. Dragon Knight comes out as well as a time trap. They hit Alex the Prodigy as he gets low on health. Blade goes in for a big Entomb. Absolutely whiffs it.
Yeah, the Entomb down, trying to look for the engage, moving in again, and burst the wave away with one sweep.
Yep, burned down there. And with that wave pushing on the bottom, Team Expert can rotate in and get aggressive on their opponent's Immortal. With Slowing Sands and Time Trap, they can also control Trick Esport. You need to have ADRD, toss that down in a choke if possible. There we go.
Sonya is done at this point, so she can start to join up with the rest of the team. But this position is a bit better for Team Expert since they can poke from far away against the opponent's Immortal. So is Trick going to make that investment happen? It looks like they are.
They move in on ADRD. Nick is low on health. Here goes Bad Biddy on the right side.
Sanctification is on the ground already in a really good spot here.
Blade.
Alex, they are going for Blade. They're trying to get him.
He goes in. He's helping out the attacks. Here's the Entomb. The chain ball is dancing around.
And, oh, Tyrael goes down. They get the explosion. They get the counter kill against Cassia. So one down on both sides for now.
Chromie goes in for a big hit. Rimmer will dodge it, but the Immortal, that is the prize for Trick.
Yeah, they're not getting it just yet. Crosby's really low on mana. That's the biggest problem. Vala without mana just doesn't get the value out of the build.
Nope, no Hungering Arrows being available means no chunking of the Immortal. We're going to have Team Expert reset here as they start to move in and apply their own damage.
He needs to tap. Tap or go back to the fountain, one of the two. You need to have these arrows if you want to have the Immortal. But the situation for Trick is slightly better for sure.
Slightly better, but heroics are up soon for Expert. They're going to have the Entomb available, Cocoon once again, and of course the Ball Lightning, which will allow for them to apply solid damage to their opponents. If they can get on Ariel and Vala in particular, they'll be quite devastating.
Alex is sniffing out the time traps. Crosby is looking to go in once again with these arrows. 85 extra damage on his arrow. Needs 3 more hits against heroes to get the quest completed. And Sonya is pressuring the top, pushing the pressure onto the fort itself with the wave.
Yeah, that's the main fear here. Sonya pushing in that top lane, putting some pressure on Expert, will force Blade at some point to move on in, but Trick just moves straight in for their own engage.
Trick going in once again. One more hit by Crosby and his arrows, and he will have the quest completed. Blade is low.
He is low. Alex Progi on the right side. Eternal goes in after Detainment Strike.
Detainment Strike hits hard and stuns the target out. Free damage on a Nubarak as we have Trick repositioning themselves, and now they also have Sanctification back on.
Alex Progi hoping to go for a dive. He pops Sanctification. ADRD moves back.
Yeah, Curson is in trouble. Tries to get the Twilight Dream in, and he is still alive. Tyrael falling. Somehow, Malfurion able to walk away from this, but Leoric still died.
Eternal does kill off Leoric, and we're going to have Crosby move in and get that Immortal low. It's still living, though, just barely.
Crosby, he has no mana. He tapped earlier, but that's the only thing he did. He didn't go back to base, so them missing out on the mana pool, that was a bit of an issue. This could still end up being an Immortal for Team Expert.
Certainly. Expert realizes, okay, Vala has no mana here, which means she doesn't have much damage, and they go in for the opportunity to apply some pressure. And Tomb is available in 8 seconds, but Chromie's aiming to snipe.
If Crosby just gets close enough to that Immortal to hit one combo, it's all that they need here. They go in deep, and that should be it. Yeah, Immortal taken, but Expert did a great job at keeping the shield really low.
Both these teams are just evenly matched. I mean, look at the minimap. We're at 12 minutes, well, 11 and a half, but still, almost 12 minutes here, and we have yet to lose a single fort for either team on BOE. How crazy is that?
I still have to say, I feel the fights are going to get, or the Immortal race is becoming easier and easier for Trick now.
Yeah.
First of all, the quest talent is stacked. Second of all, the biggest problem they had, it occurred twice in that long drawn-out battle over the Immortal. It was only a matter of Vala running out of mana. If she taps before the entire show happens, they should be able to pick this up a lot faster than earlier.
I do want to point out, Alex Progi came in for a flank, and not intending to kill anybody, but to force Expert not to put the Chromie in a defensive position, which allowed Trick and the Immortal to push in and get the fort, and they will do so. They grab it there.
Blade needs to be very careful now, and well, it's already too late. He is dead meat. Level 13 in the hands of Trick, but with the Immortal gone and Chromie poking away, they retreat.
The bone's fallen here as Blade has gone into Ghost form. He is slowing down his opponent, though. They need to be careful here. Even though it's not 13 to 13, Blade with a solid Entomb when he spawns on an Ariel or a Vala could be devastating, and he's looking for a clear.
Now look at Vala. Gloom on level 13. Oftentimes, it's a bit of an auto-pick to go into the level 13 arrow talent so that you get some heal out of your arrows. But if you're up against someone like Chromie and you know that she's the biggest threat to you, then going for Gloom is absolutely fantastic, since all that you're trying to do is stay alive for your healer to have an opportunity to heal you back up again. And the value that you get out of your level 13, that you get out of the siphoning arrow, it's just not enough to really mitigate it. So Gloom is a great choice, good adapting to what they are facing off against.
Gloom working out here, but Bad Betty goes for the Impale. We're going to have the Aegis instantly here from Ariel as well as the Sake.
Great tank being used. Bad Benny in trouble. Oriel falls, and Bad Benny, is he really going to be able to move out of this? It looks like indeed he escapes.
Wow, he even used the Impale on Sonya as she brings out the most damage from Eternal. Now Blade's going to be retreating here. He gets the Drain Hope off, and Expert seems to have the escape in the bag.
Wow. That is a very close call there on their part, but that was a good escape for sure. Get the kill, move out. It really looked like they could lose two heroes here.
And the good news is Entomb is up in 15 seconds, which is basically their setup. They can drop an Entomb, hit an opposing member, and make sure to go for a kill. Now, Aegis should be up as well about 10 seconds after that, but no Sanctification being up, which makes it easier to get kills.
This is a really good point. Sanct was used to mitigate that pressure that came through the early Entomb from Leoric, so now them heading into a fight would really be beneficial for them, just because that Sanctification is not an option.
Expert got pressure on the bottom here by grabbing the Mercs, so that'll be pushing in eventually and start to stack up. They're also setting up for a big gate.
Again, look how cautious Eternal was with Sonya. He could have walked in the direct way, decided against it. Why? Because he didn't have vision. He didn't see anyone. So he was always assuming that there is a trap against him. And that is one of these things that is just crucial, that you really automate that in your own play. If you don't have vision on your opponent's team, always play it safe, even if it costs you 1 or 2 extra seconds.
It's not even just safe, it's smart. It's smart to think and actually play around your opponent. The Immortal getting poked down by Expert. Dragon's Eye continuing to hit here. Eternal with the massive flank looking for Malfurion, but with the slowing sands coming out, he was not going to engage.
Good start for Expert so far. Great position on the Immortal for them. Trick is starting to struggle here a bit. They try to pressure the fight towards the left side so that they can get Vala into a position against the Immortal. But Expert is really setting up very nicely around it. With that heavy melee setup at the front that they have, they're doing a great job to control the zones.
They're holding it here. Blade on the bottom, trying to zone out Alex Saprogi. A third on the top left, though. He gets focused there. A silence even coming out. Ages the last second.
Aegis, Ancestral, also Sanctification has been used. Cocoon in the back still. Nappe is about to drop it, but Blade is so low on his Leoric.
Blade is low. He's going to need a drain life there to stay alive, but he's getting low on mana. Alex Saprogi diving in. Crosby fearlessly goes in for a kill.
And now they all move back, and that is exactly the opening that Trick needed. Trick is already working it. Look at Crosby, getting one arrow out after another.
Man.
Once he has the mana, and that Immortal is just gone. But they were able to move back and tap. So Expert is now back in full force, whereas Trick has to move back. The problem is that opens up a time window.
What a treat here, man. A tug of war between our two teams. Blade barely getting away from that fight with the Wraith Walk, and now we'll continue the poke war between our two teams. We have Bad Benny in the top right. He's looking at Vala as he works in Hungry Arrows. The Entomb does connect.
Yeah, the Entomb does, but so does the Rain of Vengeance. The Root on the ground. Blade survives.
He does survive. There is a blind as well hitting Crosby.
Once again, they're trying to chunk it down, and already Crosby attempting to set up, but getting zoned by the Immortal stuns.
Chromie not quite hitting these Dragon Eyes. To follow up on these stuns, though, is allowing Trick to survive. Another time trap has been popped down. A third on the right side. Detainment Strike hits Bad Benny.
Great root on the side from Malfurion. Bad Benny low,
Nick.
dodging barely. Once again, Cocoon.
Cocoon being used here. Can they get any kills? The answer is no. Eternal finally slams down Bad Benny.
Gets stunned by the Immortal a second later, but that doesn't matter anymore. They have the 5 versus 4 and they get the Immortal. And this time the shield just increases. It really shows how Trick against the Immortal is picking up pace as the game continues.
They get the Immortal, and they have the opportunity to get 16 with the minions in the top right corner. This is a very great scenario if you are Tricked Esport. Get this aggressive pressure on the top lane and start moving in.
Now Leoric at the bot lane, keep in mind, he went on level 4 for the Royal Focus here, so extremely strong to clear waves. And also, on top of that, Burning Rage on 16 with Ghastly Reach. He is pressuring that bot lane heavily at this point. Had to move back, but he is now at least putting those minions in a spot where they are starting to pressure the wall of the opponent's keep.
Rimmer keeping his teammate topped off here with the heals every time we have any damage coming out from Chromie, as Nappe will continue to save his hope there for that moment where he needs that burst healing.
Sanct is also back up. That's so huge for Trick now.
Poke comes out, Sanctification being used, 2 members get burned down, Rain of Vengeance connecting, Crosby gets a kill.
Great, hey, they have the Holy Ground, that was really well done by Alex, jumping in, Sank, Holy Ground for the zoning, then as you said, the Rain of Vengeance comes in, very decisive kill, nearly making it double, and the keep, of course, being the main goal of that approach. So Tricked, once again, looking very solid here. Even attempting with that 5 versus 4 to sneak the opponent's gap.
Trick looking very composed here, continues to steal away their opponent's mercenaries, as you just mentioned here. 13 seconds before we even see a Cassia back on the field. Bad Benny hoping to contest, but not really having many tools there against Sonya and Alex Saprogi. He's going to be forced to pull away.
Yeah, they're just retreating for now. They know that they're still in a decent spot. Taking the cam was all they really need to do. But they might lose the top fort as a result. I don't think that's going to matter too much to them if it actually happens, but they still hold on to it for a little bit longer. Overall, Tricked in a very good situation. 7 kills against 3, both teams on level 16 talents. Expert, they need to really force these fights a little bit different.
Yeah, I think Expert's in a mode here where they kind of have to force a trap to happen, get a pick on somebody quickly before the next Immortal phase.
And you know, that's the thing. I completely agree, but I really start to believe that Tricked, they changed a bit how they play. They play so much safer than they did in previous games. I really like how they always play this extremely safe when they start to rotate on the map. And it really fits and it makes the team very, very dangerous to face against.
That it does. And with an Immortal spawning in 30 seconds, Expert has one chance, it feels like, to close out this game before 20 hits.
Tyrael also guarding the camp. He's the one that has the Holy Ground. So he takes it late, but Nubarak moves in, and Nubarak jumped on it. Tyrael can still steal it, but he wants Bad Benny. They're trying to go for him.
He actually gets a Tainment Strike on the Holy Ground. Bad Benny somehow lives Cocoon popped out too on Crosby.
Was it Cocoon?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get the Cocoon off against Vala, they're in trouble, but they're still in trouble. Nick is low. That's the end of Cassia. Cassia is down. Bad Benny being chased. Blade trying to help out here. Bad Benny zoned off as Eternal jumps in at the wrong spot. Leoric moving away too, but Expert is in complete disarray. The Immortal is already there. They're down a hero. The camp is pushing the top, and Trick is going for the next Immortal here.
Trick taking the opportunity to burn down the Immortal, and they'll get it. Halftime show hits, and still 20 seconds left before Team Expert can even contest.
That Benny should not have gone in there.
Nope.
I don't know who made the call. They were maybe thinking, hey, we can force this, but it turns out they can't. They had a great chance for a big team fight here in the middle of the map. Now that chance is gone with Cassia still not available for another 4 seconds. I guess, as Tyrell is in a bit of trouble, that should be able to move out. Oh, Cocoon puts him into a bit of pressure. Nice and Tomb here, but the Ancestor comes through, and Bad Benny!
He's gonna be fine. Gets picked off though, but Tyrael also being picked off as well. Gonna be a 1-for-1 trade. Blade hoping to live. Eternal says no. Brings out the spear and the slam. ADRD frantically looking scary as a little gnome, but Crosby turns around and starts to burn down the Immortal.
And that should be 100% shields.
Boom.
There's the arrow. That's all that they need. Not
They tanked
quite.
it.
270 hit points. This is one of those moments that just feels bad. You're sitting there, you hit your ability, and then it's all about the RNG.
But when you think about it,
Trick still get it.
Trick is like, okay, that's fine. If we don't kill it off quite yet, we want to kill it around 19 and 3/4. We get 20 and we can push.
They get it anyways. There's 2 heroes dead on the other side, so they can take it one way or another. It's totally fine. And the level 20 talent is, of course, their main goal. This could be a game-ending push. Absolutely no doubt about it. Full shield Immortal, 20 minutes in, plus 5 heroes on the map on 20, and they are setting it up towards the top lane. They want to go for core.
Yep, they do.
This is actually fantastic for them. Even if they do not get the core, they threaten core, they force Expert to go up. What does that mean? Immortal has no one to take him down as he approaches the keep itself.
They'll be able to get the keep there. The Entomb even coming out from Blade, realizing he's going to fight. Bad Benny charges in, does hit Nappy on the back right, but Eternal is just burning Nick down.
Fantastic decision-making by Trick. This is definitely going to get them a keep and maybe the game. Cassia is down. That should nearly be game. This is horrible for them. The Immortal moves through the bot lane, full shields. The keep is forgone if nobody defends and nobody can. ADRD is low, and this is so bad for Expert. Trick this on a move.
Trick's even starting to work on the core here. The shields are starting to fall. The Immortal is blasting through the keep on the bottom right. We have a Cocoon being used. It is a 4v4 for a couple of seconds, but Trick will save Eternal, and they're going to turn around, use Sanctification, and force a fight.
That Immortal still has shields and is walking towards the core as we speak. 5 versus 4. Of course, we are seeing just Nomi hitting one shot after another, but this doesn't even matter. The Immortal alone just hits like a truck, and this is game. Trick takes the lead in the series.
Trick takes the lead in the series against Expert. Didn't think I'd be saying that today. 2-1 right now. If they get one more, they can knock Expert out of the playoffs and continue to move forward. Cawthon, what do you think?
Woo, Ganapa. On point. On point.
So good.
His play has just been so good on Ariel. He did so many small things on that hero this game to help secure victory. The way he uses Aegis is great. He doesn't use Aegis just to save somebody when they're low. He uses Aegis in the middle of the fight to make sure his team still has enough life to aggressively re-engage. He used it to negate a Ball Lightning. It's just done. Yep. Ball Lightning's out of the game, pops out of the Aegis, fighting at high life still. The Detainment Strike onto the Holy Ground, that set up the entire chase that gave them basically control of the game from that point on. He has just been amazing today.
I can't agree more. He played so well with Oriel and was definitely the one to enable most of these plays. I think he had one bad positioning in the entire game, and that's it. From that, disregarding that, he was always spot on. And so many of these Detainment Strikes, which is setting up huge amounts of free damage pushed onto a tank, and if a Nubrak is half health, needs to disengage, then they need to try to reset, go back in. It was just so good for Trick. That was fantastic. And
because of that play, Trick Esports is now ahead 2-1 over their opponents. And that's something we continue to talk about here in Europe. Support's just doing so well for a majority of our teams. Nabe really killing it there in that match. Let's go ahead and gear up for game number 4. Trick Esports might not knock Expert out.